जय यशोदानन्दना जय व्रजजनरञ्जन जय यशोदानन्दना जय जय यमुनातीरावनचारि हरे राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभ जय गिरिवरधारी जय गिरिवरधारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभ जय गिरिवरधारी जय गिरिवरधारी जय प्रभुपदा प्रभुपदा शील प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा जय श्री नाम संकीर्तन की जय। श्री राधा वृंदावन चंद्र भगवान की जय। जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा महारानी की जय। श्री गौर निताय की जय। जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। We'll recite together. नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद्भागवतम की जय। Hare Krishna. We welcome you all for the morning program, and in this morning program we are having session on Srimad Bhagavatam, and today we are going to recite from verse number 36. So Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 8 and verse number 36. शृण्वन्ति गायन्ति गृह्णन्ति अभीक्ष्णसः स्मरन्ति नन्दन्ति तवेहितं जना ता एव पश्यन्ति अचिरेण तावकं भव प्रवाहो परमं पदाम्बुजम्। शृण्वन्ति गायन्ति गृह्णन्त्यभीक्ष्णसः शृण्वन्ति गायन्ति गृह्णन्त्यभीक्ष्णसः अभीक्ष्णसः स्मरन्ति नन्दन्ति तवेहितं जना ता एव पश्यन्ति अचिरेण तावकम् भव प्रवाहो परमं पदाम्बुजम्। शृण्वन्ति गायन्ति गृह्णन्त्यभीक्ष्णसः स्मरन्ति नन्दन्ति तवेहितं ता एव पश्यन्त्यचिरेण तावकम् भव प्रवाहो परमं पदाम्बुजम्। शृण्वन्ति गायन्ति गृह्णन्त्यभीक्ष्णसः स्मरन्ति नन्दन्ति तवेहितं जना ता एव पश्यन्त्यचिरेण तावकम् भव प्रवाहो परमं पदाम्बुजम्। Yes, two devotees from here can recite. शृण्वन्ति गायन्ति गृह्णन्त्यभीक्ष्णशः
स्मरन्ति नन्दन्ति तवेहितं जना
स्मरन्ति नन्दन्ति तवेहितं जना
त एव पश्यन्त चिरेण तावकम्
स एव पश्यन्त चिरेण तावकम्
भवप्रवाहो परमं पदाम्बुजम्
भवप्रवाहो परमं पदाम्बुजम्
शृण्वन्ति गायन्ति गृह्णन्ति अभीक्ष्णशः
शृण्वन्ति गायन्ति गृह्णन्त्यभीक्ष्णशः
स्मरन्ति नन्दन्ति तवेहितं जना
स्मरन्ति नन्दन्ति तवेहितं जना
त एव पश्यन्ति अचिरेण तावकम्
त एव पश्यन्ति अचिरेण तावकम्
भवप्रवाहो परमं पदाम्बुजम्
भवप्रवाहो परमं पदाम्बुजम्. One devotee can recite online if they want to. Can
I recite, Prabhu? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Yes.
Dandot Pranam. Thank you, Prabhu. Shrinvanti gayanti ghrunantyabhikšnashah
शृण्वन्ति गायन्ति गृह्णन्त्यभीक्ष्णशः
स्मरन्ति नन्दन्ति तवेहितं जनाः
स्मरन्ति नन्दन्ति तवेहितं जनाः
ता एव पश्यन्त्यचिरेण तावकम्
त एव पश्यन्त्यचिरेण तावकम्
भवप्रवाहो परमं पदाम्बुजम्
भवप्रवाहो परमं पदाम्बुजम्.
Thank you, Prabhu. Dandot Pranam.
Hare Krishna. So now, word to word meaning. Shrinvanti, hear. Gayanti, chant. Grinanti, take. Abhikshnasah, continuously. Smaranti, remember. Nandanti, take pleasure. Tava, your. Ihitam, activities. Jana, people in general. Te, they. Eva, certainly. Pashyanti, can see. Achirena, very soon. Tavakam, your. Bhava pravaha, the current of rebirth. Uparamam, cessation. Pada ambujam, lotus feet. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. O Krishna, those who continuously hear, chant and repeat your transcendental activities or take pleasure in others doing so, certainly see your lotus feet, which alone can stop the repetition of birth and death. Purport. The Supreme Lord Sri Krishna cannot be seen by our present conditional vision. In order to see him, one has to change his present vision by developing a different condition of life, full of spontaneous love of Godhead. When Sri Krishna was personally present on the face of the globe, not everyone could see him as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Materialists like Ravan, Hiranyakashipu, Kamsa, Jarasandh and Shishupal were highly qualified personalities by acquisition of material assets, but they were unable to appreciate the presence of the Lord. Therefore, even though the Lord may be present before our eyes, it is not possible to see him unless we have the necessary vision. This necessary qualification is developed by the process of devotional service only, beginning with hearing about the Lord from the right sources. The Bhagavad Gita is one of the popular literatures which are generally heard, chanted, repeated, etc. by the people in general. But in spite of such hearing, etc., sometimes it is experienced that the performer of such devotional service does not see the Lord face to face. The reason is that the first item, Shravan, is very important. If hearing is from the right sources, it acts very quickly. Generally, people hear from unauthorized persons. Such unauthorized persons may be very learned by academic qualifications, but because they do not follow the principles of devotional service, hearing from them becomes a sheer waste of time. Sometimes the texts are interpreted fashionably to suit their own purposes. Therefore, first one should select a competent and bona fide speaker and then hear from him. When the hearing process is perfect and complete, the other processes become automatically perfect in their own way. There are different transcendental activities of the Lord, and each and every one of them is competent to bestow the desired result, provided the hearing process is perfect. In the Bhagavatam, the activities of the Lord begin from his dealings with the Pandavas. There are many other pastimes of the Lord in connection with his dealings with the Asuras and others. And in the 10th canto, the sublime dealings with his conjugal associates, the gopis, as well as with his married wives at Dwarika are mentioned. Since the Lord is absolute, there is no difference in the transcendental nature of each and every dealing of the Lord. But sometimes people in an unauthorized hearing process take more interest in hearing about his dealings with the gopis. Such an inclination indicates the lusty feelings of the hearer. So, bona fide speaker of the dealings of the Lord never indulges in such hearings. One must hear about the Lord from the very beginning, as in the Srimad Bhagavatam or any other scriptures, and that will help the hearer attain perfection by progressive development. One should not therefore consider that his dealings with the Pandavas are less important than his dealings with the gopis. We must always remember that the Lord is always transcendental to all mundane attachments. In all the above mentioned dealings of the Lord, He is the hero in all circumstances, and hearing about Him or about His devotees or combatants is conducive to spiritual life. It is said that the Vedas and Puranas, etc., are all made to revive our lost relation with Him. Hearing of all these scriptures is essential. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम् वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमो ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिन्निति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादि पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna. First of all, my humble obeisances to all the assembled Vaishnavas here and my seniors. Special thanks to His Grace Madan Sundar Prabhu, who considered us, especially me, an unworthy, insignificant person, to speak on such elevated discourse, Srimad Bhagavatam. So, I would try from my end to do the justice, and also would need your blessing so that I speak in proper parampara. Hare Krishna. Such a wonderful purport, such a wonderful prayer. So, before we go into the subject matter, so I have given this verse name as process of devotional service is most potent tool to get Krishna. Right? Shrinvanti gayanti grinantya vikshunasa smaranti nandanti tabe hitam jana ta eva pashyantya chirena tavakam bhavapraho paramam padambujam. So from Shrinvanti up to Padambujam, from hearing up to the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. So this is the process of devotional service, which is the most potent, powerful tool to get Krishna himself, right? So we'll see how is it possible. So first we try to break the purport, wonderful purport, which Srila Prabhupada has written. So we find some authentic questions which we need to ponder upon, think upon, what it is there. But to understand that also you need to understand how the subject matter is presented throughout. So whenever any literature is written, you always find there is some purpose behind it, right? And that purpose is always segregated in different context, in different meaning. Like if you would have written essays in your schools or colleges, you would remember there is always three parts in an essay. What are those three parts? Introduction. What does introduction do? What is the significance of introduction? Yes, speak. It's open. Setting the scene, context, right? Bhagavad Gita, you see, it is there. Setting the scene, first chapter itself, right? Then what is the last part? Conclusion. Without conclusion, we cannot get lessons to live for. And what is in between? Story. Yeah, subject matter. In between, what is most important there? Subject matter, right? Similarly, when we speak about authorized literatures like Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, so there are always three parts, and those are called, to attain the highest purpose, we need to understand these three important parts in any of the scripture or book. So first is called Sambandha. So you will always find in any of the literature, if it is bona fide, authentic, written for attaining love of God at Krishna, then there would be some discussion on understanding Lord and Jiva. Like Prabhupada writes in the very beginning of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, that what is the foremost book for having the relationship with Lord, to have the Sambandha Gyan? Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Because there is detailed description of who am I, who is Lord, isn't it? So many verses spoken about identity or the soul, right? Natve aham jatu nasam, natam neme janadipa, nachaiva na bhavishyama, sarve vayam taparam, right? What is another verse about soul in Bhagavad Gita? Describing the qualities of the soul. Nainam chindanti shastrani, nainam dahati pavaka, na chayanam kledayantyapo, na soshiyati maruta, vashamsi jeenani yatha vihaya, yes, naro parani, tatha sharirani vihaya jeenan, anyani samyati navani dehi. Right? These verses are what? Describing about soul. At the same time, when you go to the 15th chapter, there is famous verse, Mamayavamso jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana manasasthani indriyani prakritisthani karshati sarvashvachaham hridhi sannivishto matta smritirjnanam apohanam cha. Videva chaham. So these verses describing about Lord, right? His residence, right? There is another verse describing about the residence of Lord in 15th chapter. Anyone remembers? Yes, speak. Go ahead. न तद् भास्यते सूर्यो न शशांको न पावकः So I'm just making you remember so that you always remember about this, right? So this is called sambandh. How does this relationship establishes? How is the establishment of a relation? If I want to make friendship with you, right? Like here in front of me, Ritesh Prabhu is sitting. So if I want to make friendship with Ritesh Prabhu, then what are the things required? And it generally happens always when you're traveling. You'll always find some new person, right? So how do you establish a relationship? What are the steps? Yes? We ask questions, yes. And what are the questions focuses on? Yes, Prabhu? Yes. Who are you? What is your name? What are the activities you do? Means your hobbies, your likings. Occupation? What about your home? Who all are there and with whom you interact, like your family members? Right? Then you speak about yourself automatically. After this, it does not stop. That person is forced to ask same questions to you. So what is this? This is about sambandh. Because you cannot go ahead if you do not have any relationship. Unless, so there was a very nice custom previously. In our culture, it is deeply interweaved. Like, you see, people never would say their name directly. Even in the train, you would see generally people do not ask name directly. अच्छा आप भी पुणे जा रहे हैं ओह आप भी आईटी में जॉब करते हैं like somebody is traveling to Hinjwadi from his hometown somewhere. These are the first questions, you know. ओह यदि पत्नी या बच्चे होंगे अच्छा आपके बेटा है हेलो then we'll do some dealings with that kid. Then oh काफ़ी लेट हो गई ट्रेन we'll discuss about some environmental things. Not because we are interested in that. We want to actually move further. We want to know about that person more, but we cannot directly approach because it is confidential. You cannot directly, अच्छा आपकी वाइफ का नाम क्या है, आपके बेटे का नाम क्या है, आपके माता पिता कौन है? We are not taking his interview, isn't it? Right? Interviewer is given an authority to ask these questions. But in our case, we go like that. So in our culture, there is a way like, if there is some Ramesh uncle is living nearby your house, you would always say Kaka. You know how people used to give names nearby there, वो चाचा है, वो काका है, वो ताऊ है. Although they are not in direct relation, but that's how we name. Same with the husband and wife, there is a culture that they do not take name because it becomes very formal. What is more intimate? वो रवि के पापा है ना, वो अभी ऑफिस गए हैं. Isn't it? When somebody comes to the house, how that lady replies to that new person, guest, वो रवि के पापा भी घर गए हैं. It means directly, indirectly, two things. He is not at home. Please come later. Isn't it? That's how that culture is, right? जैसे मेरे घर में मोहल्ले में कोई किसी को बुलाएगा तो my childhood name was छोटू. So everyone is छोटू की मम्मी, छोटू के पापा, you know. If I have done some nuisance outside, that's how it was recalled, right? Even if there is name in the newspaper for anything, that would be the same thing. अच्छा ये छोटू के मम्मी पापा के छोटू कह दिया. So there would be some, some relationship, direct, indirectly. So that becomes more rich than taking names directly. So this is about sambandha. And why it is so important? Because unless we know these some factual basic things, there is no question of pleasing that person. We know we have to attain love of Godhead. That is our highest goal. We want Krishna's about Golok Vrindavan or Vaikuntha, whatever. But to go there, you cannot directly enter. The way I told, if you want to enter into the home of that person with whom you are traveling, you cannot say, sir, I am coming with you. You are so rich, you are so opulent, I'll come to your place. No, Baba, you'll have to do certain things. First, establishing a relationship by knowing that person and also little bit telling about yourself. So that's what you see. If you see the verses in Kunti Maharani's prayers, so let's focus on the verses. Prabhu, can you please open verse from 17 onwards? Namaste Purusham Tvadyam Ishwaram Prakrite Param. 1817, I think, right? Right? 18? Okay. Namaste Purusham Tvadyam Ishwaram Prakrite Param. If you read the meaning of this verse, read few lines. Somebody can take that mic and they can read one by one. Just translation, read.
Srimati Kunti said, O Krishna, I offer my obeisances unto you because you are the original personality and are unaffected by the qualities of the material world. You are existing both within and without everything. Yet
Yes.
you are invisible to us.
So you see what it is here about relation? I offer my obeisance unto you because you are. Who is he? Original personality, supreme personality of Godhead. Where is he residing? Both within and without in general. Now see the next verse. Maya javanika channam agyadoksham adhyadokshajam abhyayam nalakshase moodadrsha nato natya dharo yatha. So what it is? Again about Krishna. Yes, read. He is being beyond the range of limited sense perception. What is special about Krishna? He is not within the sense perception. You are the eternally irreproachable factor covered by the curtain of deluding energy. You are invisible. So these are the qualities or characteristics of whom? Whom? Krishna. These are things about Krishna, about his identity, about his existence. Further you go in the next verse. Tatha paramhamsanam muninam amalatmanam. Isn't it? You yourself descend to propagate the transcendental science of devotional service. But at the same time, what it is there? Who are purified by being able to discriminate between matter and spirit. So you are someone who is not within that kind of matter and spirit which we know here. You are beyond even that. Right? Next, then comes again about identity and relation, what I was focusing on. Directly not Krishna is addressed. How is it addressed? Krishna. But who, which Krishna? Vasudev's Krishna. Devaki Nandan's Krishna. Nanda's Krishna. Gop Kumara's Krishna. Right? Govindai Krishna means protector of cow, giving pleasure to senses. That Krishna is addressed. Now next verse. Namaha Pankaj Nabhaya, Namaha Pankaj Maline, Namaha Pankaj Netraye, Namaste Pankaj Jangraye. So this is about characters of Krishna. How does he look? Right? Everything is like sweet lotus, either lotus petals and lotus itself. His face, his thighs, his navel, right? Then again there is something in relation. Yatha Rishikesh Khalena Devaki Kamsena Ruddha Tichiram Sucharpita Vimochitaham cha Sahatmaja Vivo Tvaeva Nathena Muhu Vipadganat. Rishikesh, master of the senses and lord of lords. This is identity. You have released your mother, Devaki. Why Devaki is remembered here? Because Krishna becomes pleased when his devotees are remembered in his relation. Otherwise, like it is said, that what is the importance of a speaker if there is no audience? People give credit to the speaker that we have spoken anything nicely. But what is the value of that speech if there is no audience to hear? Right? Similarly, some Kabhi, right? This is Sridhar Swami's commentary. So he says, some Kabhi says, what is the importance of Bhagavan if there are no bhaktas? Who will glorify you? Who will tell your stories and everything? Right? Who would like to have association of that Lord if bhaktas are not there? So this process of devotional service is always there in relation to Bhakt and Bhagwan. So one is what? Master. One is servant. And in between what is there? How to serve that master. Process. Bhakti. Right? So one aspect of that we are discussing, that is Sambandh. To know about what is the qualification characteristic of servant. And another, what are the characteristics or qualification or the identity of Lord. that is someone. So these all prayers are actually focusing on that. Then further comes, what does come? After establishing relationship, what comes next? Actually, you want to have some alignment of your goal to that person. Otherwise, there is no question of further anything, right? So once you know that person, you know yourself, your identity, that great identity of Lord Krishna, then definitely you are interested, what can I get out of it? Isn't it? Generally, we are not process oriented initially. Even in the company, you will see if some task is given, ultimately you focus is on how that goal would be achieved. But your focus is actually the goal. Once you do that task nicely, then what you will get out of it, isn't it? In between, so many things are there. Like you are being given some tasks or project to complete. There could be different methods to complete that project, right? You can go through nowadays through AI, Chat GPT, which can write your codes and everything. Or you can go to the person and ask him about, you had sir previously done this, now tell me how can I do that. But ultimately your task or your mind is focused on completing that task. So that is called prayojan. So Shastras also describes about prayojan, which is the ultimate goal, which every day we recite, right? Where do we recite every day? After 10 offenses, what do we say? What Krishna Prem? Yes. Yeah, in order to have, actually it is like, in relation to those 10 offenses, what do we say? It is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting, because we are practicing something. That prayers are being, or those 10 offenses are being remembered for what? So that we can complete our chanting nicely. So in order to, what? Yeah, every devotee who claims to be a Vaishnava must carefully guard against all these offenses in order to quickly achieve the desired success, Krishna Prem. Which means that part is of no use if there is no prayojan. Why we are chanting? To get that goal. And what is obstructing? Those 10 offenses. And what is in between? Chanting. Right? While chanting only you'll have those obstacles. If somebody is not chanting, then there is no consideration of a Vaishnava Aparadh. Because he is not considering himself or any other person as a Vaishnava only. Right? So what I'm trying to focus here is every day we recite this prayojan. Why? Because if prayojan or goal is set nicely, or if it is clear, remembered, then that endeavor to have that relationship actually remains fresh every time, every day, right? But the challenge comes the least spoken thing, and that is called abhidheya in between. So Shastras are always described in Sambandh, Avidheya and Prayojan. So everyone is actually most attracted towards Prayojan, goal. Least he is bothered about in comparison to Prayojan, least he is bothered to have understanding of oneself and Krishna. Even if he focuses on, then Prabhupada here says that generally people want to just go on. For what? Like outside reciters of Srimad Bhagavatam, one Maharaj, I think Prabhupada class only we were hearing, whenever there would be Katha Pandal, you can understand by just seeing the pictures of that person, how and what kind of speaker he is. Right? So Prabhupada told that whenever they'll have this Bhagavad Saptaha outside, who are professional reciters. So here, this word professional is not good. It is like a joke, you know. It's called like misnomer. Like we said, time management is a misnomer. Similarly, this professional reciter, what Prabhupada is actually meaning here is misnomer. He's actually scolding those persons. So what it is told, that professional reciters means they are actually just focused on their profession of reciting Srimad Bhagavatam, but they have no actually love for Krishna. So you can see through the pictures which they uses. Generally, they will always use pictures from the 10th canto, where Krishna has taken birth, he is in the lap of Yashoda, or he is with the gopis, or Radharani, or is in Ras Mandal, or somewhere here or there. isn't it? But you will never see that same Krishna has been described in different form, like in Srimad Bhagavatam. There are 12 cantonas. Why we are directly jumping to 10th? Why not about Dhrum Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj? Why not those photos? Who should be our role models? Krishna or these devotees who actually show us the path? Because Krishna is beyond our limits or considerations. Right? Why not Parikshit Maharaj, Sukdev Goswami? Right? Why not even Ajamil or why not Vrittasur? Because these stories are also there. Significant part. Whole cantos are dedicated. So you will never see these things. So that is the tendency. So Abhideya part is always missed. So we have discussed about, we are focused on Prayojan, but we have very little understanding on Sambandha. Without having proper understanding of our Sambandha, there is no question of attaining Prayojan. It would only remain like Gyan. So for that, to construct the bridge between that Sambandha and Prayojan, there is Abhideya. And that Abhideya is Bhakti, process, which is devotional service. Right? So this verse, particular verse, like we have discussed about initially Sambandh. Now again go back to those verses, sequences. If we go to Prayojan, then 32nd verse you see, Prabhu. Kechidahu rajam jatam punya shlokasya kirte. This verse. Which verse is this? 32, right? So read the meaning, translation. Kechidahu rajam jatam punya shlokasya kirte. So there it is description why Krishna takes birth. So that establishes the Prayojan. Why Krishna is here? Although I know him, I know about myself, but actually for what Krishna is here? What is his presence? Why does he come here? If he is of not this world, then why is he here? Why that unborn is born? Yes, read.
Some say that the unborn is born for the glorification of pious kings, and others say that he is born to please King Yadu, one of your dearest devotees. You appear in his family as sandalwood appears in the Malay hills.
Yes, next verse. Yadoho priyasyan vavaya malasyeva chandanam.
Translation.
Yeah, just
Others say that since both Vasudev and Devaki prayed for you, you have taken your birth as their son. Undoubtedly, you are unborn, yet you take your birth for their welfare and to kill those who are envious of the demigods.
Then read the translation for Bharavataran.
34. Others say that the world begins overburdened like a boat at sea is much aggrieved, and that Brahma, who is your son, prayed for you, and so you have appeared to diminish the trouble.
So in all these three verses, you see reasons are given why Krishna has appeared. And we also want him to appear in our life, right? The way he has appeared there, because we are always in trouble. So the very next verse, if you see 35th, there it is there. Yes, read that translation for 35th.
And yet others say that you appeared for the sake of rejuvenating the devotional service of hearing, remembering, worshipping, and so on, in order that the conditioned soul suffering from material pangs might take advantage and gain liberation.
Yeah, so now you see the relation. There has been discussion on Sambandh. मैं कौन हूँ? Kunti Maharaj is saying about herself. She has not spoken, but indirectly she has told, we are insignificant, give me more troubles, then only you'll come, you're so great, right? So ultimately she spoke about Krishna more, identity. Even in Bhagavad Gita, who has been addressed more, Krishna or Arjuna, or his problem? More about Krishna, establishing his identity. Whole 10th chapter, 11th chapter, 12th chapter, 15th chapter, or you see about 8th chapter where Krishna says, I am this, I am that, I am this, I am that. Isn't it? So more about identity, relationship. Because once that is very powerfully established, then there is question of going further and taking this process very seriously. But Don't worry. Does it mean that we have to know so much about Krishna? Because many verses in Srimad Bhagavatam says that although you try for so much, you can never understand Krishna. So it's not about understanding, it is actually understanding that we are insignificant to understand that Krishna. So it is all about understanding our insignificance in understanding Krishna. That's why this greatness is explained in detail in Srimad Bhagavatam, in Bhagavad Gita, to make us humble, to make us look up for mercy, right? And then there would be very fixed goal in our life, and then we will be very much enthusiastic to endeavor for the process, devotional service, which is this verse 36th. So there is detail in Kunti Maharani's prayer about Sambandh, there is detail on Prayojan, but now we are coming on the right question, that is, because now I know understand what is Prayojan, I have understood who am I, who is Krishna, now what to do? So comes the ultimate most important part, that is avidheya, the process. Now what to do? What we have to practice throughout our life? What devotees has done throughout their life, going through so much upheaval, troubles in their life, what they have done, right? So 35th verse, if we go in 35th verse, 35th. So 35th verse you say, Bhaveshmin Klishya Mananam Avidya Kama Karma Bhi. So Kunti Maharani indirectly saying about our situation. Who are always troubled in our life? We. Who are having continuous problems, challenges? Us. There are very nice verses. I would like you to hear this. I have read about it. So you would know there is very nice stotram of our Sripad Sankaracharya. So he has written a lot of things. Madhurashtakam is also there. But very famous, which Prabhupada quotes again and again, is his, that is called Moha Mudhar Stotram. Right? So that is to remove the Moha illusion. He has written certain verses. So there is a story that he was traveling to Varanasi. He used to travel throughout, 4 dhamas which you see, Vadinath, right? And then Jagannath Puri, Rameshwaram, Dwarika. He has established mutt in all 4 corners, right? So here he emphasizes more on bhakti. So he saw that one person very old aged in Varanasi is called that seat of that jnanis, where people are so much focused on earning knowledge. Now it is not there. Just people chew tobacco and spit on the streets. That's what generally you see. So there he sees one old person, mostly Brahmana, is so much engaged in reading some scriptures, and also he is having so much endeavor putting to understand Vyakaran, grammar, Sanskrit Vyakaran, so that he can understand more Shastras. So there it comes, then when he sees that situation, then he speaks, and such nice verses comes. So very famous verse which Prabhupada quotes. Bhaj Govindam, Govindam Bhaj Mudhamate, Samprapte Sannihate Kale, Nahim Rakshati Dukrin Karne. So there he says, oh my person, Bhaj Govindam, oh Murkh, my dear most Murkh, foolish person, my dear friend, oh foolish one, please remember, Bhaj are having 3 things here. Bhaj also means remember, Bhaj also means chant, and Bhaj also means speaking or kirtan, right? So Shrinvanti, Gayanti and Smaranti, all 3 things are there in Bhaj. So he's saying, please remember Krishna, please chant about Krishna, please speak about Krishna. Why? Samprapte Sannihate Kale, Nahim Rakshati Dukrin Karne. So what does it mean? When that Samprapte Sannihate Kale, but that Kal will come nihate, pass. It would come very near to you, na? These verses or reading Vyakaran is not going to save you. This Gyan will not save you. Do something. And then in this relation we see what is happening in our life. So Prabhupada quotes when he's giving lecture on this verse 1.8.36, he gave two lectures, one in Los Angeles, another one in Mayapur. So there he quotes this, one of the verse from this Moha Mudhar Stotram, it is called. Moha Mudhar means which removes the illusion, Moha. बालस्तावद् क्रीडासक्तः तरुणस्तावत् तरुणी असक्तः वृद्धस्तावत् चिन्तासक्तः परे ब्रह्मणि कोऽपि न सक्तः. So there he says, when we were in our childhood, we were so much into Krida Valastavat Krida Sakta. All the children are always focused on what? Playing. Just play, 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 and play. Right? This is still okay. You learn so many things. But what about next? Taruna Asakta, Taruni Asakta. When you become in your teens, adults, you're always focusing about woman. How will I get that woman, this woman? What will I do when I get this woman? First, how do I get woman? Then what will I do when I get woman? But we never think what will happen at the end. Right? So there it is told, Taruna Asakta, Taruni Asakta. When you were Tarun, teens, you were always focusing on how will you get married and all those things. Right? And when finally, while having that woman in your life, your time goes next 30, 40 years. And finally you come to the point of Braddhavastha. So now, Braddha Stavat Chinta Sakta. And what happens at the age of old age? Do we have sufficient funds to live further? Because my body has become invalid. What if I do not have proper FDs? What if I don't have proper place to live? What if my children will not take care of me? So many chinta, right? This is negative side. Positive side, even positive side, there are so many chintas. And what are those chintas? One chinta is such like, मेरे बच्चे की शादी कैसे होगी? मेरे बच्चे के बच्चे की शादी कैसे होगी? जब उसके बच्चे होंगे तो उनकी कौन देखभाल करेगा? राइट? उसके लिए घर है क्या? उसके बच्चे के लिए घर है क्या? Sufficient money है क्या? All these anxieties just go at the age of 50, 60 when you are old. So there it is told that Braddha Stavat Chinta Sakta. And finally, in this chinta only we leave our body. You have seen many, if somebody would have observed their elders leaving the body, you would have seen they asked this question. I saw one of my relative, I will not narrate, but she was asking directly, मेरे बेटा का क्या होगा? Because he was not working properly, he didn't have sufficient funds. Raju का क्या होगा? इसका क्या होगा? Like that she was saying. You would have observed your, कोई बोलता है अरे घर का क्या होगा? मेरे लड़के का. They always remember those persons with whom they have attachment. Right? So if you observe those last moments, you would see, because I was in the hospital in Corona time, I could see that properly. And I was sitting just beside her and reminded, please chant Hare Krishna Mahaman. So she chanted 3-4 times. But this what I am speaking, these were her last words. Just before, just a second before leaving, Raju, Raju, like that, So that gave me very deep impression for me. That this is what happens, isn't it? She lived very pious life, nothing wrong, not breaking 4 regulative principles. But this is how it happens, attachment. So therefore this has been told. And now finally if you're living like this and leaving your body, Pare Brahmani kopi na sakta. Now what about that Brahman, Supreme Person, beyond? Nobody would be asakt. There is no question of thinking of it. Pare Brahmani kopi na sakta. So this is how anxieties are there, problems are there. We always live surrounded by those. Now what is the solution? So solution is, which has been told here. Shinvanti gayanti grinantya vikshnasa. Shinvanti means hearing. But what? So if you break this purport, now I am just starting, sorry, but we are already. So now if we break this section, so first question comes, why one is unable to see the Lord face to face? What are the challenges? We quickly cover, you can write down. First problem is we do not have necessary vision, which Prabhupada says. And what is that vision? Premanjanachurita bhakti vilochanena santah sadaiva hridayeshu bilokayanti. Right? We do not have that vision. We do not want to love Krishna. At most, we want to engage him in the business of please give this, please give that, and if not this, that, then that in future. So we are always in anxiety to receive something as a favor, but we never want to love. So until we have that premanjanat churita, प्रेम का अंजन जब तब आंख में नहीं लगेगा, there is no question of attaining Krishna or having vision to see Krishna in proper perspective. And what happens next? Second disqualification, Prabhupada says, we are missing the process itself. We are never focused on the process. We always hear, what is the process? Prahlad Maharaj tells Hiranyakashipu directly. Directly the process. Same what Kunti Maharani is saying here. Same there Prahlad Maharaj says. Shravanam Kirtanam of whom? Vishnu. Not newspaper, Prabhupada says. Not movies. Not आपकी जॉब ठीक चल रही है. Not like these kind of questions. It will never save you. Shravanam Kirtanam of whom? Vishnu. Smaranam Padasevanam of whom? Vishnu. Right? So that verse, therefore that verse is there, word is there, Vishnu. Shravanam Kirtanam, Vishnu, not of anything else. So that is the power. We never understand the power. We never want to engage ourselves in this. And finally comes, even if we are engaged in the process, problem is these professional reciters and our cheap tendency to have tears, to have emotions. जब वो गाते हैं ना मेरा गला भर जाता है, आंखों से आंसू आने लगती है. I've seen many people crying in श्रीमद् भागवतम सप्ताह. नहीं, वो जब गाते हैं ना तो मेरे रोम रोम खड़े हो जाते हैं, इतना अच्छा लगता है, वही भक्ति लग रहा है. No, 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 you are in illusion. That is not bhakti. That is just emotions coming, sudden emotions. कोई थप्पड़ भी मारता है तो भी रोना आता है. So this is not something very amazing, you know. Without understanding the greatness of Lord, and that greatness should be seen in our practice. So devotional practice means actually practicing the limb of bhakti, following 4 regulative principles, chanting 16 rounds of Hare Krishna Mahamantra, following morning program every day, hearing, reading, right? So this is the process. So problem is, even if we are in devotional service somewhere, we are never bothered about whether that Shravan is going from right bona fide authoritative person or not. Because so many people outside are reading Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada is saying here. Many people read here Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Saptahas are going on. Bhagavad Gita groups are going on. So many paribars of Gita paribar, this, that going on. But where is that devotion? Why people are not changing? Why there is no change in the heart? Why there is no transformation? So Prabhupada says they are not much worried about whether they are hearing from bona fide person or not. So we have to ensure these 3 things. These 3 problems we need to address to rectify our devotional process or devotional service. First, necessary vision. Always see Krishna in relation. Sambandh establish करना है. Second thing is, qualification required क्या है? Devotional practice के लिए proper श्रवण from bona fide person. Proper scriptures तो होने ही चाहिए, but scriptures भी किससे सुनना है? We have to hear from bona fide authoritative person. Then it is going to make change. Otherwise there is no hope. And finally, coming to this, so Prabhupada writes in his lecture, so as soon as there is the question of hearing, then the next question will be to hear what or what about? What is the subject matter? So that is said Vishnu, Shravanam Kirtanam, Vishnu. Activities of Lord Vishnu, Lord Krishna, that is hearing. So never discriminate, Prabhupada says. Even if you are hearing from authoritative person, be careful. We generally wants to hear 10th canto, Rasik Bhav, Leelas of Gopis, childhood pastimes of Krishna is still okay. but we directly want to jump there. No, step by step, right? One must hear about the Lord from the very beginning, Prabhupada writes, as in the Srimad Bhagavatam or any other scriptures. That will help the hearer attain perfection by progressive development. So, in that way, it is very important hearing from authority, but also following the sequence. Sequence in the sense, understand the greatness. Why there are chapters 9 cantos before 10th canto? So that we understand our insignificance in understanding Krishna, that we are not able to understand Krishna. So, in that way, we also consider Leela of Krishna with Pandavas with same intensity as we understand the Leela of Krishna with Asuras, Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyaksh. We consider with same intensity, finally, conjugal love affairs of Krishna, right? Then it would be nice. Otherwise, we will remain in some different world or illusion. So, this is what I wanted to share. There are more things on the side of solution, and solution is Padambuja. Now I'll conclude. Samashitaye padapallav plavam mahat padam punya yasho murare bhavambudhirvats padam param padam 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 yad vipadam natesham. So if you really want, last verse was Bhaveshman Klishya Mananam. If you want to actually avoid, then what is the solution? Bhabam budhirvats padam param padam 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 yad vivdam natesham. So at each and every step in this material world there are problems. Natesham, but for whom these does not exist? Bhabam budhirvats padam param padam. Those who have taken shelter of that parampad, Vaikuntapati, Lord. Then for that repeated cycle of birth, death, old age, hunger, thirst, these all are the currents which we are troubled from. That would not remain. Bhabam vadhirvats padam param padam 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 yad vibdam natesham. So at each and every step there would be no difficulties, no challenges, no problems, no anxieties, not even of repeated birth, not even repeated of deaths, old age, disease. If we have taken shelter of lotus feet of Lord Krishna, Sama Ashritaye Pad Pallav Plavam, whose lotus feet are like newborn lotus, very soft, very charming, right? So we have to understand, if we take shelter of that Lord, whose feet are like lotus, who gives shelter to all his devotees, then there is no question of Bhamam Mudhirvats. And on top of it, there is assurance. This same ocean, unsurmountable ocean, would become like Bats Padam, calf, not cow. Calf's footprint, how big is it? Like this. So Prabhupada says, you can cross a dozens with the help of taking shelter of lotus feet of Lord Krishna, by taking the shelter of this devotional practice, Ranvanti Gayanti about Krishna. You can cross dozens of such oceans of repeated birth and deaths. So that is the final solution. For that this verse actually exists, to give us the importance of devotional service, power of devotional service. Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. If anyone is having any question, you can ask one question, otherwise we'll close. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dadat Pranam. Can I ask a question?
Yes, Mataji, Hare Krishna. It's already late. If somebody is getting late here, they can leave. Yes. Yes, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you very much. A very wonderful class. You actually revised the entire Kunti Maharani's prayers with the proper context and helped us to understand. Prabhu, if you can just share that moha, that verse, you can share it on my WhatsApp. That moha you said, na? Overcoming illusion ka jo verse hai. Prabhu, my query is, you very beautifully related the Sambandha Gyan with, when we're meeting somebody in the train, how we establish a relationship by talking to them, asking about them and all that. But most of the times in the material world, the relationship gets established, in one or two meetings. We already find a common point. and then we meet, and then probably you said somebody was going to Hinjawadi, so we meet 2-3 times. The relationship is very easily established, just in 2 or 3 meetings. But how come our relationship with the Lord is not getting established even after years of hearing about the Lord, speaking about the Lord, knowing about the Lord? Why are we not able to establish that relationship? And secondly, Prabhu, you related the process is the same. We hear about the Lord, and like we hear about the person in the train, and we build a relationship. But Prabhupada, in the 15th chapter, first verse, he says, Urdha Moolam Adaha Shakam, right? So he says, the dealings in this material world is, lust versus love, like that. So where is the differentiation that we can establish in the example that you explained? Can you explain that? Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Dhanapana.
Yes, Hare Krishna Mataji. So there are three things. I'll just repeat. First thing, you want that those two verses which I recited, right, Mataji? Of Moha Mudhar Strotram.
Yes, Prabhu.
That was first question. Second thing, you are asking that I told about establishing relationship when we are traveling, it's very easy. But why after so much endeavor over the years, we are trying to know, we know about Krishna, still that relationship is not establishing. Correct, Mataji?
Yes,
And
Prabhu. Yes.
third question is about I gave example of that in train establishing relationship about love, but this is Urdu Mula Madha Sakha. So this should be opposite in that way. How that example substantiate, is it?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay,
Not
thank
how
you.
the example substantiates, but what is the twist in that? Because we know, it's only the bhava that's different. Otherwise, expression of love and lust is almost the same. It's only the consciousness. Whether we are doing it for our senses gratification or for the pleasure of Krishna. So, what is the twist here in the example that you gave that makes it spiritual and how it is not material? Yeah.
Okay, we'll come to the third part. First, we'll discuss on second. So why we are not able to have that, right? So mostly all acharyas, if you would hear, two things they say. First, they cut our illusion that we are practicing. So how do they cut our illusion that we are actually practicing nicely? They say, although we are practicing, but we are always identifying ourselves as some doer, which means considering ourselves at center, we continue to commit offenses. So those offenses actually cover whatever we gain, right? Only problem in devotional life is that we get covered by doing Vaishnava Aparadh. So if even after years of things, if we find challenges, we do not find ourselves insignificant, we are not humbled, that means still there is tendency that I am also something, right? So that's what my understanding is. Parallelly, our acharyas are so smart and so merciful. They do not just cut our illusion that we are doing something. They also say parallelly that it's a long process. We do not know how many lives we have done what. We have done what kind of nonsenses. We have offended all kind of or what kind of Vaishnavas. So be patient. There could be that this life would not suffice. So we need to be patient that actually it is working. Therefore, you are asking this question because you want something which is right thing and it is not happening. So at least understanding that what is right and demanding or praying for it ensures that we are on the right path. So we need to be patient and be merciful, that we should expect mercy of Krishna and Vaishnavas, that this process is right. One day we'll understand. But at the same time, we need to come out of this illusion that we are practicing something. We need to depend on Krishna, Vaishnavas, avoid offenses. So this is my understanding for your second question. Hope it finds in uh, uh, right way. Is it okay, Mataji? Second question.
Prabhu, yeah, it's okay. But in the example, even in the example of the train, generally we talk more about ourselves rather than asking about the other person, which we are also translating in our
It's
bhakti,
about it is about personality, Mataji. It's not what you are speaking is not general. Like I've seen many people in my life, That, like, if you are saying generally we speak more, so don't you agree that other side person who are sitting, they are also having tendency to hear more, isn't it? Which means there are
Yeah,
people who also wants to hear instead of
yeah. So
speaking.
is it
So,
true that
so
people
it
who
is a
want to hear more
balance.
about others progress faster in bhakti? That's my question. Those who have the tendency
Yeah.
to hear more about others, do they have a tendency to advance faster in bhakti?
No, there is no question of that. If somebody is having hundreds of qualities, which seems very good, but if there is no Krishna in their life, then there is no question of having bhakti. There is no question of speaking about bhakti. So if even if they are having that quality, that should be engaged in relation to Krishna and his devotees. Otherwise, there is no question of bhakti,
Like
whatever good qualities
Prabhu,
they have.
given that both are devotees, for example, I'm saying both are practicing devotees. So those who have the tendency to hear more and talk less, do they have an additional advantage of advancing faster in bhakti? That's my question. Assuming that Krishna is in the
But
center for both.
I am finding little difficult. Your pole of that question is changing, and this reverberating also. Prabhuji, can you close? Pradhan Priya Prabhu, can you close this speaker? You just allow that. I'm not logged in. It would be better because there is sound is reverberating. Yes, Mataji, you can now ask what is the part in your second question which I have not answered.
So yeah, Prabhuji. So I'm saying you said if Krishna is not in the center, then this conversation itself doesn't have a meaning, right? But I'm saying between two practicing devotees, if you said the tendency to hear is more in some people and the tendency to speak about themselves is more in some other people. So I'm saying between practicing devotees, if the tendency of a person to hear more is more than the tendency to speak, does that help that person to advance faster in bhakti? Because it's a natural tendency to hear more about Krishna and keep oneself behind. So that way I'm asking Prabhu.
Oh, still I am not getting.
In terms of
Mataji, you
one's
can.
propensity, like for example,
Yeah.
I have the propensity to talk a lot, and hear
Okay.
less, which I am trying to change right now. But I am asking you
Okay.
if a person generally has the propensity to hear more about others, because they're generally compassionate people who want to hear more about others and not talk more about themselves. Such people, do they have an advantage in bhakti also because they will want to hear more about Krishna and they will keep themselves in the background most of the time? Does that propensity help in advancement of bhakti? That's what I mean. I hope I
Yeah.
asked my.
So you are saying indirectly if somebody is having tendency to speak less and hear more, would that help them to advance in bhakti? Is it?
Yes, yes,
Okay, this is the short question. Now I understand directly. So, yeah, this quality will help in devotee association because they will be receiving mercy of many devotees. Because this tendency will allow them to have relationship and receive blessings also. Because we see generally, even in our normal relationships, people come and want to put the trashes. We all know how Guru Maharaj are how Guru Maharaj are, actually respected. Generally, people don't want solution; they just tell their problems. But we see such Vaishnavas who actually, hears others' problem. Although sometimes they'll not give solution because people do not ask only. They just want to make others hear. But still that tendency because they are not much into speaking about themselves, that is going to help because people like such persons, and if Vaishnavas are pleased, then definitely they'll receive their blessings. I have seen many brahmacharis in our ashram and they are loved by all the Vaishnavas who generally loves to hear. They'll not get curses also. So in general, even if we see those people are, it does not mean they never speak only, but that tendency helps them to receive blessings. That's my personal observation. Is it okay, Mataji?
yes, Prabhu.
And what is the third question?
Okay. Um, so, Prabhu, the third question is, see, like we're discussing now, that the process which is working in the material world will also work in the spiritual world. It looks like that, right? If we just like if I have the tendency to hear about Sri Sanatan Prabhu and glorify Sri Sanatan Prabhu, and then I build a relationship with Sri Sanatan Prabhu. Similarly, when I hear about Krishna, then I glorify Krishna, then my relationship with Krishna also will be established. So, between lust and love, Urdu Moolam Adha Shakam, so there is a twist here. Where is the, you mean to say, is it just who is in the center that is the difference here, or what is the difference? Because the process is working same way. It cannot work the same way in material and spiritual parlance.
Oh, no, no, that is our understanding. Basic principles remain same. Like basic principle of service remains same for material relationships also and spiritual relationships also. But our destiny differs. Like if you want to serve your relatives, isn't it the same principle? You'll have to go into the detail, serve them, ask them of their welfare. So like Maharaj says, to love means to serve and to serve means to please. So isn't it this principle works in material world also? Then why do we need to discriminate Urdu Mula Madhosaka? That is our concoction, what I understand. Certain principles, whether you are in material world or in spiritual world, remain same. Only
So,
thing
Prabhu,
that focus changes. Focus changes.
uh,
So even in material relationships, somebody is scratching others back for personal satisfaction, which means he is trying to serve others, following same to show the love, but it is only a show. He is also serving, going in details, but ultimate instead of others' pleasure, his pleasure is there. That means it is not going to bear any fruit. So that means principle is not applied properly. Same principle when it is for the pleasure of Vaishnavas and Lord, then we go back to Godhead by doing same activities. So certain principles always remain same. Somewhere there would be some glitch, some pole we would change. That's how we get improper different results. So that's my
Prabhuji,
understanding.
yeah. So, Prabhuji, I got your
I hope
point.
you got
For
that
example,
principle, Mataji, that we should not connect different dots in different way. Urdu Mula Madha Saka, why how this principle will not work. There are many
no,
principles you
why
can
I'm
have
saying, Prabhu?
examples of. Hmm.
Yeah, Prabhu. See, for example, if I'm serving my husband with a very nice, selfless attitude, right? And in a very nice way, without any expectation, if I serve my husband, but it's still going to create a bondage for me. The attitude of service without being
Definitely
selfish to
not
love
if
means,
you consider him also a Vaishnava.
so that is what I wanted to know.
If you
The
give
principles to
emphasis
work, but
more on the relationship of being a husband rather than considering him as a relationship of Vaishnava, then there are chances. Simple. There are so
so
many
the process
examples.
itself
And
doesn't work, I'm saying, right? Is it right understanding? The process itself
it's
doesn't
not
work.
about material world anywhere. If you change the pole even in spiritual world, it's not service. Example is Jai Vijay. One side of that is that they were destined because Krishna wanted, but other side to learn is that their center was not Krishna at that time. Otherwise, how would they offend someone who is a guest of Krishna? So as a learning, we take both the sides. So same learning is for us. If we give something of material consideration more importance compared to spiritual aspect, then we are going down. We are not getting to get the actual result.
Yeah, sure, Prabhu. Understood. Yeah, the Jay Vijay
Yes.
example actually put it in perspective. Yeah, I got it. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Namaste.
श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, गौर भक्तवृंद की जय.